get me on screen. I think that would be helpful. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This, I think you all know how much this means to me, and I will not deny I feel a certain level of a little minor natural anxiety and pressure because this has always been what it's about to me. Offering this platform. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you, and thank you for keeping me going during some tough times that are getting a lot easier to face. I promise you. For anybody out there, fellow content creators and people with dreams larger than themselves, we can accomplish great things, and that's what I want to prove right here tonight that with us, justice for just us, because often cases like Jamie Valdez, where it's not an international tragedy getting all the attention, our Jamie Valdez's fall through the cracks, never get revisited. And well, without further ado, I want to express my gratitude, my humility to the one and only Sean, who is the sister to Jamie Valdez. So let me go ahead and pop her up here. And hello, Sean, and welcome to the Progressive Patriot. I call it our, but it's whatever you want it to be. How are you today?
I'm very well, Eli. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
The thank you, I promise you, while you feel it on your end, it's huge over here because you're helping a vision come to fruition.
That's
So,
awesome. I'm glad. And actually, I'm not very nervous. I've done so many of these that this one I actually looked forward to. And my cousin Dawn,
she's there.
let's see, that's
She's right here.
yeah, yes. That's my cousin, and she has been advocating with us for Jamie for quite a while. And she's the one who actually helped set all this up, and much appreciation. Thank you, Dawn. We definitely appreciate all your help.
Did you hear about the magical night that Dawn and I had met?
No.
Oh, let me spill the beans. Let me get the tea out. So I was doing a live when everything was happening so fast. Creek Squad embraced me, and I'm still thankful for that. And blah, 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 how I got here. And I noticed a name flash through the chat, and it was Dawn, hashtag find Jamie Valdez. And I was still trying to articulate what this channel was to represent, aside from showing my mania and my personal journey and my experiences with addiction. I wanted to also, it's always been something about the everyday working man and woman that is always underlooked, underserved, underprivileged, I'll even say. So I saw that name and I'm like, okay, tell me about this. And kind of from there, that's how you know what, Jamie Valdez and Dawn have helped inspire this to become what it is.
Oh,
Already awesome. Talk about ripple effects. So
yes.
I'm going to try to be as, I guess, professional and articulate as possible. I've done interviews aplenty back in the day, but stakes feel a little high, but I'm okay, I promise. Before I get into playing some of the clips that I have reserved from your YouTube, you have everything compiled, including interrogations and every mainstream media outlet that's ever reported on this. I wanted to ask.
Yes, this goes on there too.
Yeah, what'd you say? Sorry?
This will go on there too.
Yes, actually, that's awesome. Yes, it better be on the very tippy top. No, I'm kidding.
It will.
I wanted to ask, like, to take us back. All right, and here's why I'm doing it in this way. There is an importance for people to remember with cold cases or any cases in general to rehumanize people. They're not just somebody that's missing. They're not just a cold case archive number XO114 whatever. Okay, this is a man, a father, a son, a grandfather who's had a lot of life experience and challenges. So I'm going to start and we're going to move forward gradually. So with that being said, I wanted to ask you, Sean, if I can take you back as far as like knowing Jamie as a younger brother. What was he like growing up with Jamie?
You know, I can actually remember when Mom was pregnant with Jamie. I would have been 5 years old, I believe. And I remember her being pregnant and decided that we were going to have another little one in the house. And, you know, from a very, very young age, he was very loved and doted on by his three older sisters because, I mean, we were at that age where baby dolls were big. And so my Aunt Dixie, who Mom had lived with for a while, she would tell me stories about how Jamie didn't even have to learn to walk until he was over 2 years old because we would carry him anywhere he wanted to go. And while we didn't change diapers or anything like that, we would enjoy feeding him his bottle and just playing with him in general. And so they, growing up, there's so many cute stories about Jamie. Like when he did learn to walk, about that time, we had moved to Missouri, and he was kind of a free spirit as a little boy. And I can remember my mother saying, "Oh my gosh, Sean Marie, go get your brother." And I was like, "What?" And so I walk up to her, and she's standing at the screen door and looking outside, and her face is just beet red. And she's like, "Get out there and go get your brother." And I look out there. He's naked as a jaybird in the middle of the street. Luckily, it's a smaller town, but there was like a row of 5 or 6 cars that were already stopped and watching this little naked jaybird, run around the street laughing and giggling. And when I went to go get him, he just thought it was hilarious. And he was running from me and laughing the whole time. I finally caught him and took him in. But I was mortified. I was on the shy side. And so for me to have to be the one to go get him just because I'm the oldest sibling, that really wasn't fair. But, growing up, he was funny and very loving, peacemaker. He hated when any of the rest of us would fight, and he would try to calm us down and send us to our own corners. And I don't remember ever with Jamie as we were growing up. He was just happy-go-lucky. He would, get us to go outside with him and play football or baseball or whatever he wanted to play as a little boy. And so all of us would get out there and we'd play. And of course, we had enough kids to almost be our own baseball team because there was 5 of us.
There's
And
5 siblings in the household?
yes, 5. And most of the time we shared a room, all 5 of us. So it was interesting.
Y'all were growing up old school style. And sorry if there's ever a little cut over. Your camera is a little lagging. Like you warned me, your internet would be in and out. But
Yeah.
we will persevere. I promise. So okay, you all grew up together, 5 in a household, and both your
Yes.
mother and father were there.
Well, Mom was married to their dad up until I was 9. So Jamie would have been 4 years old at the time that they divorced. And when they divorced, we ended up moving to Arkansas at that time. And she, during the course of the time that I was there, I think she got married 2 more times up until the time I graduated. And so, but mainly for the most part, it was us and Mom. And because she was a single mom, we would have maybe a 2-bedroom house where all 5 of us kids would share a room. And that just kind of makes you have to be closer to each other because the space proximity thing. So there was that. And
were you the oldest?
I am the oldest. Jamie is the second to the youngest. So yeah, there was lots of times where after the divorce, she had to work, and she would leave me in charge to watch the younger kids. And of course, we all pitched in and helped watch the boys because they were, the rambunctious little boys, and it takes a village when it comes to little
I'll fully
guys.
fully admit, us little fellas here, we need as much supervision as possible, more so maybe than the ladies when it comes to being in a household. I think it goes a little differently out there in the Wild West there, or the world, or the YouTube
Yes,
streets.
most
Um,
definitely.
what were some of like Jamie's like favorite hobbies? What did he love to do? What was very much like is synonymous with Jamie Valdez?
um, well, as a little boy, he loved cars. He loved the Dukes of Hazzard, watching that show, and his favorite song growing up was Elvira. But as he got older,
I love him already.
yeah, he would he loved to cook. He would grill for family if we'd come over, and he would invite us to come over. He'd want us to come over and visit, and he took that passion into cooking in restaurants or at a convenience store or whatever. And he loved to tinker like small engines. Um, we had a four-wheeler, and when he came to visit one time, and the thing wasn't working and hadn't worked for quite a while, and while he was visiting, he got it to working, and would drive it around and just have fun on it. So um, he just loved to be helpful, like during the time he was staying with me. And I've heard that he did this for other people. If he would stay with them, he would be helpful around the house. Like he would help clean, he would do the dishes if you're the one who cooked, or even if he was the one who cooked. um,
Oh, so
he
he's the
taught me.
entire polar opposite of me. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was pretty awesome, as as brothers go, because sometimes guys will come to visit and you'll cook and you'll clean, and they'll be like, "Hey, that was great," and then they'll go play video games or whatever. But Jamie, he would, if I was cooking, he would be sitting in there with me, talking to me while I'm cooking, watching what I'm doing. He taught me how to make chicken Alfredo, which I had never learned to do. But while he was down, he said, "Let me teach you how to make this." And I'm like, "Cool," because he knew I love to eat it. He was awesome.
Sean, you're. I'm sorry, but Jamie has set the bar too high, and I just
I
cannot.
know.
My goodness, he cooked, cleaned. He would actually be receptive to conversation and be engaged in your cooking.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm a little
He was
overwhelmed.
awesome.
Clearly, okay. Well, I don't know how to segue naturally into this. All right, but I did. I'm not a natural, but I've done it before. With the questions I have, well, first let me ask this: to at what point did Jamie move out of the house? Like, what did he go to school, or did he go straight into the workforce? Did he fall in love? Like, what was his kind of chronology?
Um, he would have, well, he hung around home for a long time, him and Daniel both. But when he did go out on his own, it was to go to work. And um, he was the type of guy who would have not just one job, but two or three at a time. And so he would,
2 or 3 jobs at a time?
yes, like he would have a job being a butcher, and then he would have a second job working at maybe a cafe. And then on the side, he would do lawn mowing for people, yard work. So he was constantly busy. Um, he liked making the money, and just he was trying to give his daughter a just a good foundation. Um, he liked buying stuff for her. And so I think that was one of the reasons he liked to work all those extra jobs, is so that he could provide for her in a way that he felt she deserved. And because I tell you, he just adored her. Um,
If ever a man or any parent for that matter needs an incentive, it's right there. It's your flesh
yes,
and blood. Was
that's
was
right.
he was that like his first love, or was that his first wife that he had a daughter with?
Um, I don't think that was necessarily his first love. He had never gotten married before he married Anna. But the the daughter's mother and he had a relationship, and um, they were actually together for a little bit before she got pregnant. And um, I know he had some relationships before that he was pretty close to them. But when she got pregnant, he, he was totally okay. This is it. We're going to eat. I'll do this too. We have a healthy baby. I can remember thinking about that with us, and just being proud at the fact that he was going to be a father, and excited, super excited. So yeah, he was actually a really good dad. When we would go to visit, I would get tickled at how cute he was with her. Just he glowed when he was around her, and he would call me all the time and tell me she's made the honor roll again, or hey, she got an award for perfect attendance. This, she could do no wrong, and she was just the light of his life.
How
So
old is
yeah,
she now?
she just turned 16. So she's, just a teenager still.
So now, since we've kind of mentioned Anna's name, I am curious at what age was Jamie when he had met his? Is she an ex or is she the current? Like, are they still technically married?
They are still technically married. There's not been a divorce filed that I'm aware of. And I do look every so often just to check. Um, let's see, he was 47 when he disappeared. He would have been 46 when they met.
Okay, wow, that happened definitely down the line in life.
Yes.
Okay. So then, all right, here's what I wanted to ask, and I just was looking for maybe the proper segue, but it's public record and knowledge. Just like myself, 10 years of struggling with addiction. If you're absolutely comfortable with talking about it, when did that start to seep into his day to day? If you recall, and if
Um,
you're comfortable, you do not have to answer. You can tell me to move on.
no, I'm totally comfortable with this, because it's a part of Jamie. It's a part of his story, and we want to be truthful and get as much as the information out there as we can. When I had already left the house, and um, my mother was married to a guy at the time who was into drugs and a very heavy alcoholic. And at the time that I left the house, I don't think she had started doing the drugs yet at that time. But very soon afterwards, I believe she did. And they ended up divorcing, and she got with another guy and married him. And pretty sure that it was during the time that she was married to him that both my brothers ended up getting into the meth. And um, yeah, he would have been probably in his late teens, early 20s, somewhere in there. I'm not really sure, but this is just information that I've learned since Jamie's disappeared. So it was pretty new news to me that he had started using so young. And he struggled off and on through the years. Um,
Was it that he kept
when
it? I'm sorry, finish, and then I have a question. I apologize.
Okay. I was just going to say his when they were pregnant with the daughter, I do know that he stopped then, and that was probably a pretty long span of time that he did not use. And I'm not even exactly sure how many years that would have been, 7, 8, 9 years, something like that. But then he started slipping back into it.
Was he, for the most part, like very secretive? Was there like a fallout, or was it kind of an open, known thing within the family uh, during his younger addiction days when it had started, at least?
During the younger years, I would say yes, because I didn't know it, and I don't think my sister Nikki did either. Um, my mother probably knew it because I think that's where he got it, and my youngest brother knew it. So we didn't start learning about it until after um, after the daughter was born, and it had been several years. Well, I take that back. There was a time or two when I did hear that he was doing drugs before the daughter was born. Um, but then when they got pregnant, um, that's when he said, "Okay, we're going to do some clean living and give our daughter a good start." And so as the years went on, and she got to be that age, between 7 and 9, I'm not even sure exactly what, he started to slip back into it, and it caused the grandmother to take guardianship of her. And um, and it's kind of funny because the grandmother liked him so much that she would let him live there with them, even though she was the guardian. So Jamie could still be daddy and, still provide and, give his daughter gifts and take her to eat and, just be there for her. And he would start to feel bad about using. He had like an ethical dilemma while he would use, and he couldn't use very long without checking himself into rehab and trying to get back clean because he wanted to stay clean. It was just a struggle for him.
That hits extremely close to home. I mean, 10 years, my life was essentially taken from me. I didn't recognize who I was, been there, done that. And I took me about 3 or 4 rehab tries, one court ordered. That's an entire journey. When he was going through that, when he married Anna, or when were in a relationship, his current wife, was there use, like, were they both using? Was it a And I wanted to ask kind of about, sorry, I'm not going to dogpile with questions, but I'm
No, it's
curious to
okay.
know what the consensus of the relationship of Jamie and Anna was to the family, and then whatever you know about the use.
Okay. So I'm going to go back a little bit because back in 2016, November 2016, our mother passed away. And at that time, Jamie was pretty much staying clean. But when she passed, and we were even at the funeral, we told Jamie, please don't use this as an excuse to go out and use. And he assured us, oh, I won't, I promise. But he did. And we weren't surprised, just because, when your mother passes, it's hard. And, um, and I could say, like, for me, because I live in Texas, after the funeral, I almost couldn't wait to get away from Arkansas because I felt like if I could just get away from there, I'd feel better. But I got to Texas and I didn't. I felt the same. So if there's ever a time I understood him needing to use, that would have been it. So he ended up actually being homeless for about a year, and was pretty deep into it, to the point he lost everything. And he did end up checking himself into rehab. In fact, it's kind of funny because I noticed right away that all of a sudden I hadn't heard from him. So I started reaching out and I tagged him and I'm like, hey, has anybody seen my brother Jamie? And like within 20 minutes, I had somebody message me and say, I didn't want to talk about this on Facebook, but I just wanted to let you know that Jamie checked himself into rehab, and that's why you're not hearing from him. I'm like, oh, okay. That makes sense. And they're like, well, I think it'll be 30 days before he can talk to, anybody on the outside.
Was it typical
So
of a third party person to inform you what your brother was going to do?
no, that was actually the first time. But
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was because I had made that Facebook post because I was concerned. I was like, I haven't seen or heard from him. And I had tried messaging him and he didn't answer back. And that wasn't like him because I would message him and he'd message me back usually, within the hour or so at least. Um, so it was while he was in there that after the 30 days, he was able to get on Facebook and um, I guess he and Anna were friends on Facebook, or one of them had added the other, and they started talking through Messenger. And that's how they started their relationship, is through Facebook Messenger. And I don't know if she invited him out there, but I don't see him going, because she at the time lived in Texas. I don't see him going uninvited. So I'm sure she probably invited him and he went up there and he ended up staying. And after he was there for several weeks, he messaged me and he said, we were still corresponding on Facebook, but just like through, comments and stuff like that. But he messaged me and he said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that I moved to Texas. I've got a great job. I met this girl and she's really pretty." And um, so I was like, okay. And then, a few months later, he messaged me and he said that I wanted to let you know that I need to deactivate this Facebook because Anna gets jealous.
Oh
And
no.
I was like, okay,
That
well, give
that's
me,
sorry for the immediate response because it gives me an immediate red flag reflexive reaction. Like that's a sign that not everything's going to go smooth. So okay, I'm sorry.
yes.
Do
No,
continue.
it's okay. Yeah, and that's a very good point because I thought the same thing. Um, but he said he didn't want to give her anything to be upset about. So he did deactivate his Facebook and we would just text by phone at that point. And then every so often he would restart his Facebook or a different Facebook and he would reach out and, he'd have something to tell me or, hey, we're fixing to move or we are moving. And but then he would come back, just a couple of days later and say, "Hey, I need to deactivate this Facebook." And so that actually went on several different times. And actually, my sister Nikki, he would call her a lot, and they would be on the phone, and he would say, I need to let you go because Anna's fixing to be home from work, and I don't want her to catch me on the phone. She gets jealous." And
What the hell?
so, but then there was one time they were on the phone when Anna got home, and apparently she got upset. And then my brother Daniel, um, let me go back again because you had asked about whether Jamie was using at that time. Anna made Jamie promise to stay clean before a whole year before she would marry him. And so one of our very first conversation, I asked her, "Is Jamie using?" And she said, "No, he's been clean." And but then later on in conversation, later, like down the line, she said, "Oh yeah, he was using." And so I'm thinking, well, why did she at first tell me he was clean and then later say he was using? But and she said a lot of things later on, like he was abusing her or would had
Okay,
busted
so
down the door.
this leads right to the question that I was going to ask here is what can you recall about the weeks or days, it can even be like a couple of months leading up to his disappearance, because I have an inkling. Remember, these are only I'm reflecting only my thoughts and opinions alone, and it is not represented by anybody present with me, but I do have an understanding that there was some tumultuous there was some conflict between the two of them, obviously. So with
Yeah.
that, was anything being expressed kind of strange to you outside of him deactivating his Facebook on and off and trying to call and saying, I got to hang up because she's here? Anything outside of that?
Not really, because that was, well, there was my little brother had said that he had called him through Facebook Messenger video chat and said that Jamie was crying because he had come home and found that Anna had been using, and was upset because she was making him stay clean, but yet he had caught her using, and apparently with an ex. I'm not sure, ex-boyfriend or ex-husband or what, because she'd
Was it
been
also
married.
methamphetamines? Are you aware?
Yes. And so there was that. And anytime that, well, when Jamie brought Anna down to meet my sister Nikki, they just stood out on the front porch, and Nikki was out there talking to them, and she said that Anna didn't really have anything to say to her. She had on sunglasses, and she just kind of stood off and didn't really talk to Nikki, but Nikki and Jamie did, because they have a very close relationship. And Daniel said he had met Anna in person once, and he had gone to Jamie's house to help him fix his car. And Anna was outside with Jamie, and so Jamie introduced him, and he said, Anna said hi, and then she just disappeared, and he didn't see her the rest of the time he was there. So it was like she didn't really want anything to do with our families, seemingly, or she was very shy or something. I never knew Anna before.
Would controlling sound better than? Yeah, okay. And go ahead. You're gonna say you never knew Anna before.
Yeah, I had never met her until Jamie disappeared, and in fact, I had never even talked to her. And when she first messaged me through Facebook Messenger, and I was like, "Can I call you?" Because my brother being missing was a serious thing, and she told me, "No, I would rather just message through Facebook." So I thought that was strange, but looking back, it was a good thing, because it put a lot of things in writing that I was able to go back and look at later and find some discrepancies. And that was, just, it was a good thing. But yeah, I didn't meet her until we did a prayer vigil. Let's see, it was in October, and Jamie had been missing since that previous June. So it was several months after Jamie had gone missing.
How long were they together?
I would say they were together almost a year before they got married. They got married in May, like either the 4th or the 5th. It's crazy, because if you go on one of Anna's Facebook sites, it says the 4th. If you go to her other Facebook site, it says the 5th. And so I'm like, which date is it? But he went missing on June the 9th. So they were married just a little over a month.
Oh, you're talking about the discrepancy of how when he actually went missing, but it's recorded by the police as he was missing on June 9th. Is that correct?
Yes.
But the police report says he was missing on June 17th?
Yes, that's what it said. And that was because when she was giving them the information, she said that they just didn't understand what it was she was trying to convey, that she had said Thursday, he went missing Thursday. And so they went back a Thursday from the date that she was there, which would have been the 20th. And so they put down the 17th.
That's strange right off the bat.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you this in a way where because we had a brief discussion on the phone, and I just want to know, tell me if you are comfortable talking about the Cash App thing, where you were maybe not certain it was who you thought it was.
Right.
You do not have to talk about that.
No, it's okay. So after when Jamie and Anna were together, there were a few occasions where he would message me through Facebook and ask me for money. And the first time I was pretty sure that it was Jamie. It was the way he talked and the way, just his language. I could tell that it was him. So I sent money at that time, and they did pay it back, actually. So I want to put that in there. I think they were just having difficulties or whatever. And then at one point,
here's a little pretense I want to add. This is the big sister who has grown up chasing little naked Jamie down the street. She knows her brother and how he talks. Okay. Please continue.
Okay. There was another point where he had messaged, and he actually asked me for $180 for their car payment. But I got a strange feeling, and I went back and I'm looking at the message, and it didn't seem to be the way Jamie talked. And so I just felt a check not to send that money. And so I did not at that time. And then there was another time where he messaged and said that he and Anna had overspent that month. And, even that phrase wasn't necessarily, I'd never heard Jamie say he overspent in a month, that was kind of different. And so when I messaged him back, I said, I'm not going to send 50. I can only send 25. And then he said, well, only if it won't put you out. And I told him I had already sent it, because during the time we were talking, I got on and sent it. And when I looked back at my messenger, there was a little mini video of Power Rangers dancing. And in all the time I've talked to Jamie, he has never sent, I don't know, they call it a GIF or a GIF or whatever it is. He had never sent me one of those, ever. And so I was like, looking at it, I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And I kind of wondered at that point if it was not somebody else logging into his Facebook that lived in the house who has the password to get into his Facebook. And I do know that she had that password because later, after he went missing, she was logging in, or she said her mother was logging in, and changed some stuff, like the place where the residents, they changed it to Ozark, and changed a couple of other things that it was like, okay, who's making all these changes? And I almost wanted to say it was almost like they were trying to make it seem like it was Jamie logging in and making all these changes. I had sent him a message asking, are you okay? Everybody's looking for you. I'm sorry, you guys are having problems. Please reach out to me.
I'm sorry, this was after he was missing? You were getting this kind of, really?
Yes. Well, it was on his Facebook, yes.
Right.
And so
all this digital communication was occurring when he was missing.
Yes. And I remember it was actually the 17th whenever I went in and saw that one of the messages to him had been read, and all of a sudden all these changes were made to his Facebook about page, where he lived was Ozark. And that's where they were saying that he was going when he left the house, was that he was going to Ozark. And then it shows up on his Facebook page, residents, or, I can't remember how they worded it, but it was changed to Ozark. And I was like, okay, well, that's really strange. And when I questioned Anna about it, she said it was her mother had gotten in on Jamie's phone, his old phone, because he had a new phone. His old phone was still set up through the iMessage and iCloud, so you could still get into Facebook through that phone. That the mother had gone in. Her mother was very elderly, and sickly, not doing well. And so her mother supposedly went in and changed all that. Um, that just didn't sit right with me. But, at that time, I was trying to keep an open mind that she didn't have anything to do with any of his disappearance.
Well, it's not
But
painting a very good picture. Just,
yeah, things weren't adding up. Just there's so much that over the course of time we are. I would never say she did it, but I will
no,
say I think she knows what happened, and that's what I'm going to say.
fair enough. What I did want to ask, we got already into the point where he is already missing. What I wanted to ask is, what was like the last day that anybody can say on record? Where was he last? Who was with him last? What were the circumstances?
On June the 9th, Anna and Jamie were supposed to spend the day together, and she got a phone call to come into work. And she said it caused an argument because he wanted to spend the day together. So they argued in front of the mother and the brother who lives in the house as well. And apparently it was a pretty ugly argument. And so Anna ended up going into work. And while she was there, Jamie showed up and asked if he could go home. And Anna said, do what you want. I'm at work. I don't have time for this right now. And she said that Jamie at that time went home, and the mother said, it was the mother, said that Jamie came in and he got the rest of his clothing and loaded them in his car and took $600.
We're going off of the hearsay of the sickly elderly mother.
Yes. And Anna. So
Anna, to me, look, we can speculate, and there's no accusation. There is at worst implication. We're utilizing free speech here. So to me, it does sound like, without trying to get too strong, that she was like controlling from day one and maintained that control, especially with nearly an invalid, somebody that was not well, and then somebody who's missing, and then all of a sudden everything starts to be controlled. And who's the number one person that's been controlling things? So, spelling it out there a little bit.
Right. So they would have been, that family would have been the last people to have seen him alive. There's been other stories of people who thought they might have seen him, but they weren't positive as to the dates. And so we can't really prove that he actually went to Ozark or anything like that. In fact, I did have a lady reach out to me, and she said that she went to the bluff hole where his car was eventually found, and she saw some clothing folded up nice and neat, and at the bluff hole, which is a swimming hole. And she's concerned because she had with her all this clothing folded up, afraid to come up that had been skinny dipping in the creek that the bluff hole ran into. And so she remembered it because she had told the kids, if you see anybody coming up, just turn your heads, don't look. And so I thought that was interesting. And I had asked her if she remembered what the clothes looked like. And the clothes that she described pretty much was the same clothing that Anna said he had left in that day. And but she added a few details, like there was a face mask, a blue face mask, and a cigarette on top of the face mask. And I went back and looked to see if there was any pictures, because I knew I didn't post any pictures of Jamie wearing a face mask. But there was a picture Jamie taken in February of him wearing a blue surgical face mask. And of course, he did smoke too. And so that was, I had asked, there was other people that were at the Bluff Hole that day, and I asked them if they had seen the clothing, and they said they did not. But it was kind of strange. So I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but on the 19th, Anna's boss's significant other found the vehicle. He was driving through the area on the way to the cemetery where his daughter was buried. And he is or was a longtime friend of Jamie and Daniel both.
All
And
right,
so
I want just a moment. Sorry, if the internet
no,
connection was better, I could tell, or you could, but we're doing the best we can, and thank you for bearing with me. This part, I ask the audience to really, really listen to, because it's something that has caught my attention from day one of hearing it. So, yes, please tell us how the vehicle was found and
Okay.
how much time had passed.
Okay. So it had been 9 or 10 days since Jamie had been missing. And the Anna's boss's significant other, when he drove through Sugar Grove, which is where the vehicle was found, he saw the vehicle, and he was on his way to visit his daughter who had passed at the cemetery, which was up the road from the Bluff Hole. So he went back to the convenience store, and he told Anna that he thought he had seen Jamie's vehicle parked at the Bluff Hole. So she waited until she got off work, and they drove her up there. And when she got up there, she messaged me through Facebook, and she said, "We found Jamie's car." And I asked where it was, and she said it was at the Bluff Hole. And so when we had talked about it for a couple of minutes, and then she sent me a couple of pictures, and there was some writing on the back window that said, "He is near, help me." And when I looked at that, I just got a really strange feeling. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, something is really wrong. And so I messaged her back, and I asked her some questions. And then she asked me, should I contact the authorities?
Should I
said,
what?
Yeah. And I said, yes. Yes, we need to contact the authorities. And so I kind of expected that she would do it as when they left. But she waited until the next day, and she reached out to the authorities. And that's at the time that she made her police report, was the next day.
And it was her boss's significant other, Anna's boss's significant other.
Yes. Yes.
Are you okay with a brief 2-minute clip?
Yes, go
that
right ahead.
shows the vehicle. Guys, this is, I don't know how else to put it. It's a little trippy. So behold, I'm going to play it from here. I'm so glad I got this figured out. Check it out, y'all.
A disturbing mystery out of Boonville. 47-year-old James Valdez has been missing for nearly 2 months, but his vehicle was found abandoned in a field with the words "Help me" written on the windshield.
Yeah, now police and family are hoping somebody will come forward with some new information. 5 News reporter Bailey Devane spoke to his family. They hope to see him home safe soon, they say.
We lay in bed at night wondering if he's okay.
Family says the last time they saw James Valdez was on June 10th. He had packed a few items and was leaving town to see his daughter in Ozark after a fight happened at their home in Boonville. 10 days later, his vehicle was discovered in the next town over, in Sugar Grove, with the words, "Help me, he is near," written on the back window. The seat was adjusted and pulled forward, and the keys were gone.
But I had some old letters from him that I dug out and compared the writing on the back of the window to his writing on the letter. It was not the same.
Family says that location is near an old family home, but he would have no reason to revisit. Boonville police say they scoured the area with a team of officers and cadaver dogs. They dredged a nearby creek, but they came up empty-handed.
There are signs all over Boonville and Ozark that he's missing. If he had seen one of those signs, he would have contacted us and said, "Hey, I'm okay. Stop worrying. Get these signs down." But there's not been anything, nothing at all.
Now the family wants help finding answers.
That is not his writing. It has been tested and proven to not be his writing. So a question I have immediately to myself, sorry, let me get the visual a little bit here, is the person that discovered this vehicle, did they take any necessary protocol prints to rule out that was done there on the spot right then and there? Was there any suspects? Did they rule anybody out? Like for one, Anna?
There has been okay. So when they found the vehicle, the police didn't get there until the 20th of June. They did take pictures of the inside and the outside. They did not take any prints or check for blood evidence. They checked visually for blood, but since they didn't see any, they didn't suspect foul play. However,
I'm sorry, this man was missing for 10 days and they find the vehicle with that writing, with the keys not in there and they didn't suspect foul play at all. Nothing was strange about this.
Well, the reason they didn't expect foul play is because when she made the police report, she told them, "I believe that he's just out partying and has left me for another woman."
Oh my God.
So,
man.
I mean, when as a policeman, if you're told that,
Man.
but why would he leave his vehicle? It's like he's going to be out partying, but he's going to leave his vehicle. And plus the vehicle was pulled all the way forward. Like there was hardly any room between the seat and the steering wheel. So literally nobody could have driven the car like that. Whoever drove it last pulled the seat up. Maybe I don't even know why.
Did they test for prints with the writing on that very car window?
They didn't. And in fact, we did find out later. Well, the chief had let me know that some young people had come forward after that specific newscast and admitted to having had writing on there. They had gone to the bluff hole and one of the guys was getting ready to go into the military. And so they were just having, a last get together. And they had actually, so there's some discrepancies here. The chief had told me, number one, that they were minors. And so that I could not talk to them. And then he told me that when they got there, they saw the car running with somebody in it. So eventually it took almost a year time for me to find the guys who did actually do it. They weren't minors. And I talked to one of the guys and he was very apologetic. And he said it was just supposed to be a prank. He said, I had no idea that our prank would end up on the news.
Okay, hold on. All right, hold the phone. Okay, they were not minors, or they were not minors because you took.
They were not.
They were never minors.
They were over. They were over 18 at the time that this happened. And
why
so,
the misinformation? What? You don't know the answer. I'm at. Okay.
No.
Okay.
So. As I'm talking to him, I had questions because, the chief had said they had seen somebody in the car. So I asked him, so when you got there, the vehicle was running? And he said, no. He said, we actually came in the other way. I guess it kind of makes like a horseshoe. And so they had come in the other direction. and did not see it until they were coming out. And when they were coming out, there was not anybody in the car. It was not running. And they saw how dusty the car was. It had evidently been there a while. It's a dirt road back in there. And so they thought it would be funny. They thought somebody was just out hiking. And so they decided to play the prank and write on that. And, you know, and as weird as this sounds, I'm so grateful that they did, because that was my first, you know, you see that and it hits you in the gut that something's really wrong. So it's what got me to spur Anna on to go ahead and contact the authorities. You know, and in the meantime, we still to this day have not heard from Jamie, and that's not like Jamie. I mean, he would always, maybe we might go 2 weeks without hearing from him, but not a year and a half. So
there's an aspect that we haven't touched on that I want to talk about, because I believe it's extremely relevant and it can indicate some things, but I have to leave that to the viewer's own imagination. What I do want to do is show these people. Is it okay to show some of that interview with Anna herself? Is that allowed?
oh, absolutely, yes.
Public.
Yes.
I'm going to bear with me. I'm going to click the first one. I believe it's part 1. I believe these are the interviews.
Yes.
So let me check. This is an ad, and you're welcome, StreamYard. You're welcome. So Alex, okay, let's kill that. Okay. Now, here's Anna, the wife. All right. So quick warning: the audio is terrible. She speaks so low. I'm gonna maximize it, but honestly,
well, and she was also playing music. She had her phone playing music in her pocket during the interview, and I really feel it was because she didn't want to be heard.
I kind of got the vibe, because she speaks in such a manner where you really have to be like, either she'll say something so many times so low that you have to give up, or I don't know. I think what I witnessed was a little strategic, but let me let the good people be the judge. I'm going to let it roll for a little bit. I might jump to a point where I think she speaks up a bit. Here we go. Yeah.
He's not mad.
Like zoned out.
Yeah, he just
Shuts down.
But he's real like withdrawn.
Yeah. Not talkative.
I told my mom when I picked her up in the hospital. So I think Jamie's fixing to
This is maximized volume. I'm going to keep trying.
I knew.
It may not have put the microphone on her at this point.
I'm going to jump. Let's see if it improves.
That was the first thing I told the cops. When I reported him. Like,
Yeah.
I reported him.
like Sugar Rose.
Yeah. You thought Ozark, you know? Like you in your head you had like he said Ozark. So you're like, okay, that's you know.
He said Ozark, when it's quite possible in the realm of free speech and observation and speculation, it's quite possible she put it down as Ozark. But okay.
And Sugar Grove, like
So I know this is hard to talk about. But the first thing I want you to do is just tell me who you are and who Jamie is to you.
Simple enough.
Anna Valdez. Jamie's my husband.
And what is the story with Jamie today? What is going on?
Missing June 10th. He hasn't come back.
She said missing.
When did you notice
10th.
that he was
10th.
missing? Was it June 10th?
But it was June 9th that he was missing, and because of her, I don't know what to call it, misinformation, the police wrote down clerically that it was June 17th, and now it's the 10th. That's 3 F-ups here. Oh, okay, sure.
And how did that come about? Did you see him on June 10th?
I got called into work. We were at home.
She saw him on June 10th, but he was missing on June 9th. What, what do you make of that? Like, what is that? What can that is that it's a bold-faced lie, or what's the excuse? Grief stricken? Why would you get that wrong? Sean, truly, I'm asking, what do you make of her getting the date wrong there?
You know, I really don't know, but I do know later, well, after this video was taken, she messaged me and she said, well, I went back and I looked at my time card and it was the 9th. And now the chief is mad at me because it looks like I lied because it was the 9th and not the 10th. So
not looking, dude, none of this is looking good based on everything I've seen today alone. I'm okay. I haven't seen up to this point. Let me hear a little more.
He was mad that I got called in.
He was mad that I got clean.
no, that she got called in.
He was mad that she could. Okay, sure, yeah, okay.
And so he came in on June 10th to your work, right? What time was that?
2 o'clock maybe.
Okay.
2:30.
And he said, what did he say?
He said, can I just go home?
What'd you tell him?
I said, Jamie, I'm at work.
The music to me is almost like voluntary cognitive dissonance. Like she's trying to not be present while she's like, I call this what it is typically when I think I'm seeing, remember, it's observation and speculation. When I think I'm seeing a predator hiding in plain sight, there's a part of me thinking that she's just not taking what's really happening in front of her seriously. So she's trying to stay immersed in the music. I don't know. I'm just going off the cuff here.
Do what you want to do.
Look, I'm sorry. I am not a psychologist, behavioral psychologist, but that looked a little forced. That whole, just saying.
Was there anything to show that he did go home?
I try to be careful with my commentary about people grieving because it's so individual, but and I got to calm myself down because I get very hyped.
Home and got some clothes.
And he was driving his vehicle? Were you guys sharing a vehicle at the time? No? You both had your own? Okay. So he goes home sometime after 2 o'clock, gets his clothes, and then leaves. Was that on, what day was that? A Monday or Tuesday? Do you know?
What in the X?
So
okay.
He shows up. He goes and gets clothes. And then no phone call, no text, nothing?
It was a Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
I feel like the more I listen, I'm just going to continue to get nowhere. Can you clearly see the video compilation of your own channel? I did get, I think, about down to 4. This individual, he did a TikTok crime destination. Credit to Missing Persons Cases Network. He has a 3-minute breakdown. Does it reveal anything substantial that we haven't covered? Because the next thing I want to talk about is pretty big.
I'm not sure which one that is, but I don't think so. I don't think anything other than what we've already covered.
Okay, so here's what I want to bring up. Tell me about your police chief, the individual that's in charge of the case and getting your family justice and answers. First off, I want to first let me ask, how do you feel he and his department handled this case?
Well, at the very beginning, put himself over the case, which I thought was a good thing, because if you're going to have anybody over the case, don't you want the top dog to be over the case, right? So, I do know he wasn't always the best at getting back with me. Like I would email him, and it might be a week or two before he would answer. Or and I didn't realize he does court, serves as the bailiff every morning in court. So, I would try to call him in the mornings and never could get him. And I was just like, oh, he's avoiding me. But then I found out he does the court thing. And so I have gone to see him in person, and he didn't know I was coming, and got in there and sat at his desk, and he pulled out Jamie's file, which was sitting on top of his desk. And it was literally, this thick. And so I know that he was working on it. However, there have been some tips that I've given to him that I know for a fact never got followed up on. I did find out, and actually found out first from Anna, that when she was 18, she lived with the family of the chief when he was a little boy. He was 9 years old when she was 18. His sister was her best friend, and she lived there for a year and would go on vacation with them.
Okay, excuse me. Sorry. Did you just
putting on the brakes?
Yeah. No, seriously, sincerely. Okay. Not to be an over actor of any kind here. Did you just tell me that the police chief in charge of the investigation, which for all intents and purposes, maybe Anna didn't look the best. For one, tell me that they at least applied the lie detector test. It's kind of preliminary to Anna.
Unfortunately, the lie detector test was never performed.
They always do the spouse first. What? Why? What?
Yeah, it had been several months, and even my family and I from Texas, we went and drove up to Arkansas to participate in a search along with my sister who lives in that area. And before the search, there was a meeting with the search team and the sheriff's department and Boonville Police Department, and we got to stand in front of the chief and ask him questions. And one of my questions was, why hasn't a lie detector test been performed yet? And he said, well, we're working on that, and we're gonna, we'll do that. And so when I went back in October, no, actually it was November, and I asked him, I went to his office again, and this was the visit where he wasn't expecting me. And I asked him, so where are we at on this lie detector test? And he said, well, it's this time of year when all the new recruits come in for the state police department. And so there's only 2 with the state police that are certified to do the lie detector test, and they're busy. And I was like, so when is this going to get done? And he said, well, it'll be after the first of the year. And so nothing had been done even at that point. And every email I sent him, I would ask, is this going to be done? And finally in January, there's a lady I've been working with. Her name's Tracy Stewart, and she is a missing persons organization called JC Cares, and she found for me a person in Fort Smith, Arkansas, which isn't very far from Boonville at all. That would, or maybe it's Fayetteville. But Anna would have had to drive up there. But she said, if you can pay for this, we can get her a lie detector test done. And I said, at this point, I was like, well, that would be good, because, if it shows her not guilty, then people can stop looking at her and we can focus our attention somewhere else.
I'm a little
And so
shocked.
I reached.
I don't understand. It wasn't done. It wasn't implemented. Okay. So yes, I understand you were trying to take it into your own hands. So what became of that? Sorry.
Okay, so I did reach out to Anna and I offered that to her, and she got very offended. And she told me, if you're going to be like the rest of these people and you don't believe me, then you can just forget it, and I'm not going to do this, and I can't believe that you're even asking this, and she made a pretty big deal out of it. But I copied all of that and I sent it to the chief, and I think because she refused to do it for me, he just gave up on it and he didn't pursue doing it through the police department. Now I do know he brought her in one time for questioning, and it really made her angry. And she had told me at that time, this was probably October, I believe it was before her mother passed. And she had told me, he's going to insist I do a lie detector test. And if he does that, he's got another thing coming. I'll go get a lawyer. And I'm thinking, why do you need a lawyer? If you're innocent, there's no reason, just take the lie detector test and, prove to the world that you're innocent. I mean,
She's
that's what I
being
would do.
so vehemently defensive and almost like venomous at the it's more than, I don't know, man. That's just a terrible look to own. And now, isn't this a conflict of interest if the man investigating the very case has a connection, like they lived together? Did you ever talk to him about that? Like, hey, you
Uh,
lived with the person that you haven't properly investigated, by the way. What's up with that?
I did ask him if it was true that she had lived with him. And he did verify that, yes, it was true, but that he barely remembered her. Now, I never asked him if he felt like it was a conflict of interest, because it just floored me, that he put himself over the case, but yet he knows Anna, I
Personally.
mean, she'd been out of Boonville for quite a long time. So, and I'm sure they probably didn't stay in touch or whatever. But the fact that he had this history with her because she lived there, that just, it didn't look very good.
No, it's not a good look at all. And then it appears that she's been given every pass. Look at how whatever that interview was conducted. Secondly, no lie detector test. These are the services that we're all indoctrinated to believe that our tax dollars will always make sure it's there for us. And nothing in terms of protocol being achieved here. Ruling out the spouse is like the first thing that is done, and that wasn't even done. The way that the vehicle was handled, everything from the beginning, bottom to the very top, is so just unprofessional, lackadaisical. It's mismanagement. I'm appalled. I'm really appalled.
As a family member, it's been the most excruciating year and a half for all of us siblings, and we see that Jamie's case doesn't seem to be getting the attention, or and Boonville is a small town, and the chief has cited to me many times, we just don't have the manpower for this, or we don't have the manpower for that. And I'm like, my brother's important. Of course, I live in Texas, but if I didn't, I can promise you I would be there at least every other week going, okay, what'd you guys do this past week for my brother? Because it just feels like if I'm not staying on top of them, then it doesn't really, a lot doesn't seem to be getting done. I'm not there, so I don't know what they're doing, but all I know is how I see it.
So officially, I'm going off the cuff here, because now, all right. First off, I want to know that. Let me just ask a preliminary question. or forget that. No, let me go here. Have you tried, and I don't recommend this. Have you tried to reach out to other non-law enforcement elements at all to help you with this case that's still active, open, and it's just getting cold because it's not an international case and there's not a bunch of YouTubers that are willing to protest outside of houses of people that don't have the full scope on them and can get maybe some clout or something. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a group out of Fort Smith that is called Revamp, and they're retired investigators and police officers, and they've been helping me. They've actually reached out to the chief several times and have become very frustrated because the chief won't even return their calls.
Revamp?
So
What you said they're called?
Revamp. Yes. REVAMP. And then Tracy Stewart with JP Cares, she's actually out of New York. She's been helping us. And we've had, other advocates along the way that have helped a lot with doing stuff like background checks and running some low errands for us that we couldn't do at the time. So, there's a lot of people that, and then we have I have to say, the whole Jamie's Missing group on Facebook. There's so many people there that knew Jamie and loved Jamie, and they're always willing to help. And that we're eternally grateful. But we've been able to call on some to
Sorry, your
help us.
connection is dropping off pretty bad, but allow me
Okay.
to utilize my voice for a moment. There is a fantastic and active Facebook group with almost 2,000 strong, and all of them are dedicated to helping just shine a light on this. And Misty brings up a great point, really. You have somebody, I'm going to ask that, Brennan. You have somebody who has a history of drug use, like me. Or somebody, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to polarize anything and make it look too negative because, when children go missing, oh my God, yes, of course it's a tragedy. But like let's say, look at Gabby Petito's case. That got massive attention. Why that one more than any other one? Why not this one? And oh no, don't tell me we lost you. No, it says you're not connected. You may have lost your, oh, you're back. Hold on. Don't worry, this is not over either way. But let's see if she's able to come back. And here, I'll go ahead and you're good. You're back. Can you speak? You might be frozen. At least I saw some movement, but your connection's it's starting to catch up with you. Feel free to speak if you can hear me, Sean. So here's what I wanted to share. I was hoping she could maybe, I don't know if I should mute her. She did mention, and I really wish this was her telling it herself. She's probably trying to, let me remove her for the time being. All right, I got her in backstage. So she did tell me because of the widespread attention that the Gabby Petito case, I brought that up for a reason, was getting. We all know I wasn't involved in the true crime community of YouTube during that case, but I know it was the bee's knees. She explained to me on our phone call that because of the attention that case and investigation got, her and I don't know how many of her family members, people that care about Jamie Valdez, went there also with like signs of, hey, look, he's missing too. Where can some of this attention, any of it, which was far and wide, can it go a little bit over here? Now, I don't know what kind of reception they were given when they went there. And I'm sure some people would be like, oh my God, how dare you? But I do have an issue with the international cases, the biggest tragedies possible that get the certain traction that not others can get. The everyday American, the people that didn't have the life that was maybe so perfect and without its blemishes. But what is life without its blemishes? There is no perfection. Everything's a freestyle. We make our mistakes. It's the human thing to do. This man, Jamie Valdez, was 2 years sober, getting back in touch, connected with his community, his family, and then he just disappears. Everything that we've revealed thus far. All right. Obviously, there's something very strange about the police chief, whose name I have here. I don't know if I mean, it's public knowledge, but he clearly has some sort of conflict of interest being the key investigator for the individual when I can't name her as a prime suspect, but to me, as a citizen that is learning a lot of this for the first time, I'd say, yeah, I think it's very important. We should maybe rule out the spouse, like, I don't know, 99.9 other cases that ever have an issue of a missing loved one with a married couple that have ever had any sort of conflict. It makes sense that you want to rule her out, let alone give her a freaking give her the lie detector test. These are just preliminary steps. I think you're taught in the academy. I think she's back with us. How are you doing? Okay, you're moving. Can you hear me? Wave if you can hear and see me. Like, hands up. Put your hands up. Nah, I don't think you can hear me. All right, I'm trying to get now. Yeah, I see you smiling. Okay. Okay,
I'm back.
good.
I had to restart it.
Understood. So I went ahead and I explained, regarding the Gabby Petito case that these are one of those cases that just got so much polarizing attention. It feels like it just soaks up all the resources and all the attention and captivates the hearts and minds of everybody. And then our everyday people, our everyday, John Q, Jane Doe, whatever citizen, we don't get that same level of attention. So you went there, and what did occur when you went over to wherever? What was that like? What happened? Feel free to inform us.
When I went where?
When you went to try to get to somewhere where a lot of attention was being given to the Gabby Petito case.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, yeah, I was actually tagging Jamie's missing Facebook profile onto all of the Gabby Petito things and telling them, hey, my brother is missing too. He's just as important as she is. And because I was jealous. I was jealous of all the attention she was getting and thinking, this is not fair. And honestly, it's not. I mean,
No,
just
it's
because
not.
she's, super cute. My brother's cute too. But even if he wasn't, it's not fair. And, even though I was doing all that, it didn't really put any extra attention on Jamie. People they just don't care.
Were you met with
I mean,
any
I can
negativity?
remember looking at the back of milk cartons and seeing little kids and going, oh, that's sad. And then, going on with my day. But this is something we can never get away from. It's something we think about 24/7. It's not going to go away. Even after we find him, it's still going to be, our brother's gone. And it'll be a grief process we'll have to get through. But, in the meantime, we're not giving up. We're going to keep at it. We're going to be annoying the people that had something to do with this until we find him. So hopefully, they'll get tired of it and they'll decide to let us find him so that we'll leave them alone for a little while.
I'm sorry, but I have this is my own bias, and I have to admit that having a bias makes you skewered when it comes to thinking logically. But I really wish, if there's anything I could selfishly say I'd like to see, is them handle what Anna may or may not know a little bit more, period.
Yes.
What can be done to make that happen? She has since left that area. Is that accurate?
No, she's still there.
She's still there.
Yes.
Okay. What would be, let's say, freaking Jeannie comes down and, despite the obvious, let's keep it practical. They said, okay, what's the first thing we could have all of these resources finally get done? What's like the first call? What's the first thing you would ask to be done?
If I could choose?
Yeah, and when I say keep it practical, like a move that would go in this direction, like we could finally get Anna to take the lie detector test and then go from there. Or yeah,
I Yeah, I would love for them to process the house that they were living in, which I do know that they have already removed the flooring that was in the house. After their mother passed, they took out flooring and replaced it all. So, but even with that, I feel like the house should still be processed, because if there's anything in there, it could still possibly show up.
just like the vehicle that was not handled professionally
Yeah.
whatsoever. It
And
was
you know
not
what?
treated.
Going back to the vehicle, so there's more to the vehicle that I found out fairly recently.
Your
And
internet rocks right now, by the way,
oh,
throughout
good.
the
I'm
entire.
glad.
Okay,
Um,
so yes, please tell me.
um, so I had heard through the grapevine that Anna tried to sell Jamie's vehicle, and I found out who she tried to sell it to. And I reached, and sure enough, he did. She tried to sell him the vehicle. He was there to pick it up. And he said while he was out there, the police showed up, and that's when they were there to process the car. Well, look at the car and do the search that they did of the area. And
Who is
so,
sorry, you lagged out a little bit. Is the individual who made the agreement to purchase the vehicle relevant, or is he just somebody that was in the area?
well, it was actually somebody that her boss's significant other knew and
Oh my
put
God,
her into contact with.
dude! I swear,
Um,
Anna and her boss have an entire network going on here. Are they the Illuminati? What the hell? Okay.
so whenever I talked to him, we actually talked quite a while, but he told me that at first he was just going to try to help her get a key, but he had told her it would cost about $300. And he said that at that point, pretty much she just wanted to be rid of the vehicle and was willing to sell it to him, and he was going to buy it for the parts. And so while he was there, the police showed up with the search team to do the search and take a look at the car.
And from that, I mean, did they? I mean, so much time passed. There was plenty of time to do anything and everything to cover anything up.
Yeah.
Wow, the
And,
negligence.
2 weeks after, they towed the truck or the vehicle back to Anna's house, and it had been sitting there for about 2 weeks. And I called the chief. I got in touch with him, and I'm like, look, can you guys just go do fingerprints on the vehicle? And he said, well, it's been there for 2 weeks now, and any fingerprints we do aren't going to be admissible in court because it's been too long, and who knows who's been in and out of that car. And I was just like,
That was what
okay.
is that what the chief said?
That's what the chief said.
That's it. Here, okay. I don't like the chief. Okay, I don't like him. Everything that I hear about this guy. Are we allowed to state his name?
I mean, it's probably public record. I mean, you can look online and find it.
I would like to. I would like to. Okay, actually, I have the Facebook available. And also the GoFundMe that is active. I shared it on my community page, but could you explain what that's for so I could be more than happy to plug it right now?
We have a GoFundMe to help raise the reward. We're up to 5,500 right now, and a lot of that, the community has donated a lot, but probably the biggest part has been my sister, myself, and my husband's aunt, who have donated the biggest amount. I had decided we were getting closer to the 5,500, and I said, okay, I'm just going to throw the money in there and raise it, because I mean, it's almost Christmas. Maybe somebody will come forward and want to get that money. The reward is based off of we have to be given the location of where Jamie's at. So, and arrest doesn't have to be made, nothing like that. We just want our brother found. And we're hoping with that 5,500, somebody will need that money and come forward with whatever information they have so we can locate him. And that's what that money is for. It's sitting in a bank account right now, drawing like 20 cents a month interest. But, hey, it's better than nothing.
All right, so forgive the silence. I'm unpinning the original message. I'm repinning this because you know what? This is how it works, the green, it gets people's attention. It seems to get people to remember things. So yeah, feel free. I did notice one of my friends donated. It says you only, at least for this one, I don't know if you had another one. It's only 425 raised, 16 donations in total, but I will be putting a donation.
that was that's the latest one. We're going for 10,000, but right now we're up to the 5,500. I don't know that we'll ever make it to 10,000, but it's wishful
baby
thinking.
steps, wishful thinking. You know what? Sometimes that's all we got. And this whole platform thing, I'm not gonna continue to make it a metaphor and analogy, but this all started on a dream, and here I am. So I'm making a donation right now. And
thank you.
It's my pleasure. This is a small step of what we hope to achieve. GoFundMe is pinned to the top, guys. Do feel free. Do not feel pressured. It's there only if you wish, of course. And more than that, I to the contacts that I have, we will speak privately about what we can do, what we're able to do, and what we could possibly do. Because clearly, this is another example of justice for just us, because the system keeps failing us. And as cheesy as it sounds, get your nachos. I'm getting that tattooed here. And yeah, I truly believe in this. I believe in what we can achieve together. The powers that be are not the ones that always get the say-so on who gets their justice and who does not. Is there any other, I would like to get in touch with Revamp, which is REVAMP or EMP?
Yes, they are on Facebook, and they're out of Fort Smith. Great group of people, super helpful, go-getters. But they're also working on like 46 other cases right now. So, anytime that I reach out to them, they're always super quick to get back to me. But, there's only so much they can do when, they're reaching out to the police and not getting questions back or answers back. So,
of course, here just for whatever this individual was able to achieve. This is that missing persons case network. Please don't strike me. I'm sharing fair use doctrine, and I'm promoting your channel because this guy goes into some detail about monies owed to somebody. So, and I saw your comment. It was 1 year ago. You thanked him. So I'm hoping he would be okay with playing this. I want to see what it has to offer.
This is Jamie Valdez. Jamie is a butcher and he loves his job and he loves his wife. But he's been missing now about 2 months. He was last seen on the 10th of June. And that was in Logan County, Arkansas. I'm going to get into the details now.
Sorry, could you hear that?
Yes, could hear.
Okay, but I don't have it in the correct spot. So here we go. All
there
right.
It is. Yes.
My apologies.
This is a very suspicious case, to say the least. So it's important to note that Jamie had just recently married Anna, which is now Anna Valdez. That was on May 4th, so about a month before he went missing. And they recently moved to Boonville, Arkansas. And this was so that Anna could take care of her mother because she needed constant care. So Jamie had just been promoted to manager of his department. On June 9th around noon, Anna received a call asking her to pick up a shift at work. But Jamie wanted her to stay home and spend time on her day off. But Anna chose to go into work around 1:32, which caused a disagreement between the two. Jamie was upset enough to pack an overnight bag and tell her that he was going to go to Ozark, Arkansas. Shortly afterwards,
this is the moment where I just employ how fair use is done, or I interrupt so they can't accuse me of a copyright claim, blah, 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 blah. This is very insightful. Okay, now we're going to listen more. Thank you.
Which Jamie went to her work and asked if he could just go back home. Anna told Jamie she couldn't deal with the problem at work as she was busy, and Jamie left. He returned to their residence where he collected $600 cash. So all of that happened on the 10th. Now, this brings us to June 20th, when his vehicle was found abandoned in an area off Rocky Springs Road in Sugar Grove, Arkansas, which is the opposite direction from Ozark. Okay, a message had been written in the dust on the back window of the vehicle, and it said, "He is near, help me." I'll provide a picture in the next slide. It is not believed by family that this is Jamie's handwriting. The driver's seat was scooted forward as if a person shorter than Jamie had possibly driven the vehicle to his location. The driver's seat appeared torn or cut. A few things under the hood had been disconnected as to disable the vehicle possibly. Jamie's keys and cell phone have not been located. A 3-mile radius was searched by police searchers and cadaver dogs. His ID and insurance card were found a little ways away from his vehicle on the ground, but Jamie was not located. His wife and family are extremely concerned for his safety and need your help. If you hear anything that has to do with Jamie, anything at all, please contact the police, or you can go on Facebook to the group about him. It's a great group, and you can message one of them. We're going to provide pictures now of the vehicle, of the writing on the back, and under the hood. This is the actual car. You can see it says, "He is near, help me." That alone is...
Which we already know was a prank. And another thing about this strange chief who has done so many things wrong. Another thing he did wrong, aside from not enacting the polygraph test, not properly investigating the vehicle, not following up with leads provided by Jamie's sister and family, because she herself has to learn that they never got contacted. And that aside, that he has some sort of relation, childhood relation with Anna. Not only that, but we have this whole issue with the minors who were not minors. So he's lied. The official report of this officer, this chief, is that he has lied, been lying. What else has he lied about? I know I'm getting a little heavy with any implications, but in totality, it's a travesty. I see there's one more video that's very short, piques my interest. I want to check it out, and then I'm going to just step into the conversation once more. What is this? Okay, it's a compilation, and it's people on the ground floor trying to get it done, which is what we're trying to do. Oh, I got to be careful with music. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
that is the that's the Bluff Hole area right there. Well, maybe. But that's also one of the people that have been helping us along the way.
Okay, all right. Well, good. I'm glad. I see. You know what? I'm going to subscribe. She's got a small channel, and she's doing things with the right intentions. That's what we need more of. Subscribing right now. I'm going to give that a shout out in my community. Only got 6 subscribers. So Midwest True Crime Moms, Caitlin War. I can't quite see the Warner. We're going to see what we can do. We're going to build one another up so that we can shine a light on the areas. Oh, there's Anna. Shine a light where it needs to be, where it's for far too long gone ignored. And yeah, the polygraph needs to happen. Exactly, Jack. I guess with that being said, Sean, thank you. Is there anything at all that you would like to say before we end the stream?
Well, this video here reminds me that when they did that interview, I believe it's on the second part, that they tell her that they can still get the last phone location. And they were able to do that. And so they did kind of an impromptu search, which that was the picture of her sitting on the ground when they got out there to where the last phone location was, which was in an area that was actually underwater at the time that he went missing. she had a panic attack and couldn't function or help with the search, and they had to console her. And somebody had asked if the phone had ever been found. It has not been found. The keys have not been found. So that's, something that's missing with him. And in a lot of his pictures that you see, I love that picture there. That was actually the last picture taken of him, was him and his dog eating that fruit roll up. He loved that dog, and she ended up giving it away after he disappeared. But
She is not
he was
coming out looking any kinds of favorable, let me tell you that. And let me say a heartfelt thank you to Cotton Candy Investigates. That's another talented content creator. And I think she's much better at true crime than I am or will ever be. Thank you. She's agreed to share the information that we've covered here. So a step has begun, one of many steps. I'm sorry if I
Awesome.
interrupted. I just wanted to
No,
acknowledge
you're
that.
fine.
I
No, I
say too
appreciate
sorry too much. I'm just going to start saying, I'm not sorry anymore. Just go on. All right.
It's your channel. You can do what you want.
I know. I'm trying to live up to that standard. So please, you have the full floor. Again, I'm sorry if you already said, I'm not sorry. I said I'm not sorry. Yeah, that's it. Okay, manic moment. It's okay. I'm human. Is there anything you have not said that you would like to share?
Well, I just want to reiterate that we will never give up. We do get down at times because this is super tough and the hardest thing we've ever been through as a family. But we'll have our downtime and depressed moments and our grieving, but we always get back up and we continue the fight. We're not going to stop the fight for Jamie because he was worth it. And so we're just going to keep rocking on until we find him.
You have been graceful and patient and kind and just so empathetic, compassionate. You have been an example of humanity that we strive to find just in this short interview. If I could do a 24-hour marathon to dedicate it to trying to do so much more, because your family, Jamie, has earned so much better than what the treatment you have received. And I'm also very proud. I'm always proud of Thor. He's just somebody that is very dependable, and he's a great friend. He's going to send an email to, and I may not be familiar with, but he knows some people in places that can be of a very positive influence. Sending an email to Gazalia at Grizzly True Crime to see if she can take a look into this as well. All right. So
Awesome.
again, I can't say enough. You're not giving up, and now you're a part of this family, this community. We're not giving up. All right. So you got about 5,000 extra souls that are just as invested.
Yeah. And I want to say thank you to Dawn for kind of organizing, arranging all this for us. She's awesome. Best cousin ever. And Misty, thank you for being here. I've been seeing your messages, but I can't message back. I don't know how while we're on this thing.
Okay, yeah, everything's a work in progress, and apparently it's a very large content creator, and that's what it's all about. If I can just really hope to pass the ball to somebody with the larger platform or voice, that's exactly what I'm proud to do. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Sean. You are now you're formally you're in your family. You have my number. Please always feel free to utilize it in any way at any time that you wish to.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You have been the greatest. Have a great night. Okay.
Thank you. You too.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Well, this is the odd part. You probably don't. Oh, you know how to go? Because I usually kick people viciously. I'm just going to do it nicely. Here you go. Okay. Guys, this was a big deal. This was a big deal because I wanted to flex that this channel can do more than anything that's ever happened before. The distractions, the manufactured beefs, the nonsense, They are not important. I've learned this time and time again as time goes on. I've learned the support that we have here will always outweigh anything and everything else that ever tries to veer me off path. I've spoken to Thor about this. I've spoken to other various numbers of you, members, supporters, community members, mods. We are going to accomplish something great, and this is the first step of many more to come. With that, thank you for bearing with the dodgy little connection here and there. I hope I did you all proud. And it has been a night. Justice for just us. Hashtag, let's make this a thing. I would really hope that we can make a hashtag a thing that's recognized the next time I make a live. Hashtag find Jamie Valdez. Hashtag find Jamie Valdez. I'm going to start putting it on at least 4 videos a week. So let's see. Let's see if we can be the change we hope to see. And I thank you all again and again, forever my gratitude. I still, regardless of anything, I thank Creek Squad, Ryan Upchurch and Patty Lynn. They have helped build this platform by sharing me, and I'm thankful for that. Otherwise, I understand there's some dynamics that are sensitive. There are questions, but in the grand scheme, the significance is what we just achieved here tonight. Identify the unifiers. Do not let a divider be an invitation to confrontation. It's conversation that we need. Good night, guys. Much love.